Hello, Luke Malevich here, and today we're going to talk about the instrument upgrade. First, I'd like to welcome you to my new studio space, and I apologize. As you can see, things are still being organized. There's a little bit of a mess in the back with the ladder and everything else, and as I get going here every week, it's going to look a little bit different. But normally I have a green screen put up, which I'm not going to be using anymore, so you can kind of see the whole studio space. Now today I'd like to really quickly talk to you about something that you may have already heard from your band director. This oftentimes happens at the high school level. I've seen it happen a little bit earlier, but usually at the high school level, and I have students of mine that every year come up to me and say that their band director suggested that they switch to a trigger trombone, oftentimes framing it as an upgrade. So what I'd like to do is kind of talk to you about what that means, why your director would want you to do that, because for myself, I always like to know everything. If I'm being asked to change something about what I do, I want to know why the change is occurring. Is it something with the equipment? What the specific reason for it is. Otherwise, you're just being told, hey, I want, get a trigger trombone. It's like, okay, I'll do that. You go and buy it, but you don't really have an idea why to do it. Now, some band directors will tell you why they're asking you to do that. And on the other hand, if you have a private instructor, they might explain it to you as well. Now, I encourage all of you to have a private instructor. They can be very helpful. But if you don't have any of that, and if your director didn't give you any specific reason, and if you don't have a private instructor to help you out, that's why I'm here, to kind of walk you through the whole process and explain to you why you might be asked to switch to a trigger trombone. Now, just to really quickly go over the differences, as you can see here, this would be considered a straight tenor trombone, straight being without a trigger. And this is likely the instrument that your director might encourage you to purchase, and that's a trombone with a little trigger here. Now, the main reason they would want you to do that is primarily for sound. Now, what I mean by that is, with the different ensembles that you have in school, you might have concert band, orchestra, jazz band, pep band, marching band. There might be something else. You might have a rock band or a funk band. And every style of music has a different sound associated with it. So with classical music in particular, meaning your concert band and your orchestra, an instrument that looks like this, which would be your trigger trombone, you might hear it called a symphonic tenor trombone or a symphonic trombone, large bore trombone, will have a sound that will fit more with those ensembles. So it has a bigger bell, larger tubing here, and that trigger, which gives you access to some extra notes, and also lets you play some notes that you already know how to play in different positions. But primarily because of the sound, it's going to have usually a bigger sound, a wider sound, a warmer sound, and that sound will fit more with those larger ensembles such as concert band and orchestra. Now notice I didn't say a better sound, because that's not the case at all. With the instrument that I have here, my small bore straight tenor, it has a more compact sound. Oftentimes these instruments will have a brighter sound and a sound that projects a little bit more. And if you're playing jazz band music, if you're playing in pep band, rock music, something like that, then the sound of this instrument is going to fit more with those ensembles. So when your director asks you to get a trigger instrument or says to upgrade to a trigger instrument, you're not necessarily upgrading. You're getting an instrument that has a different sound, and that sound is going to fit with that ensemble more. So if you have the instrument that you started on with that might look like this, I would encourage you to keep it and use it for jazz band, for pep band, whereas the larger symphonic trombone, you would use that for concert band and for orchestra. Now, there's one more part to this, going from a student instrument to a professional model instrument, which is really the only time that there is a considerable upgrade. And the upgrade is going to be in quality and in quality of materials and quality of the build of the instrument. So all the instruments that you see here are, my small, my large, and my bass trombone. They're all professional instruments. So, for example, if you were to go from your straight trombone, which I imagine is a student model instrument, unless you were, given one from a family member that was a professional model, or you just happened to purchase a professional model instrument to start with that looks like this, then that instrument is going to be really high quality. Versus if you had a student model and you were to upgrade to something that looks like this, that may look exactly the same as what you already had, it's still an upgrade. You're going to be upgrading from a student model to a professional model instrument, which is it's going to be easier to play. The materials are going to be better, and it's going to be put together with more attention to detail. Same thing here. If for some reason you start on an instrument with a trigger that could also be a student model, which there aren't as many of those, but it's still a possibility, then you could upgrade to a professional model with a trigger, and it's still an upgrade. But if you're switching from, let's say, your student model beginning trombone to a professional model large bore symphonic tenor, then you're not only upgrading the instrument itself, but you're also changing the sound, right? So there's an upgrade in quality of instrument and a change in sound. Just kind of keep that in mind. So again, when your director wants you to upgrade to a trigger trombone, they really just want you to get an instrument that'll fit more with the ensemble. And particularly in high school, there's a lot of emphasis on contraband and orchestra. So those are the ensembles that you're going to be encouraged to, get a trigger trombone. And hopefully your director will tell you the sound's going to be better for that ensemble, and you'll still want to use your small bore tenor for jazz and perhaps marching band and pep band. So that's about it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the section below, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And thank you. I'll see you in the next video.